Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers Inspiration. I'm your host, Harriet Cole. So very honored to be here with you today. How are you? What do you say when you answer that question? How are you? How are you feeling about leaping into 2025? We are in the first month. How are you feeling? Are you feeling energized? Are you feeling strong? Are you standing in your power? And if you aren't, do you want to? I sure want to. I feel like I am. I started the year off strong and, with a whole lot going on. Certainly not everything is going as I want it to, but I feel like I am in alignment to face and deal with whatever is on my path. And I feel like that's the best that we can do. You don't want to hide from whatever your challenges are. You want to face your challenges. You want, like, putting the hardest assignment first when you're in school so you can finish that and then move on to the others. And so many of us didn't do that when we were in school. Some of us are still in school. What about the school of life, the school of learning how to live in alignment with what we believe, with what we yearn for? That is the life that I want to live. And now I have been paying attention to what some of the distractions are that get people. And one of them, which we all know, this is not new, even as it is so incredibly true, it is measuring ourselves against others. And that's why I titled this inspiration, Put Down the Measuring Stick. How often do you compare yourself to other people? Think about it. Did you do it already as you woke up today? How often do you look in the mirror and go, I wish I were more like that person, or if only I had this that somebody else has. If only this were true about me, then life would be different. Life would be like it is for that person over there. We do this. People do it. It's part of human nature to compare ourselves to others. And depending upon how we are doing on any particular day, can be deflating. We know there have been studies already that show that social media is having such a tremendous impact, in particular on young people, because people are constantly posting pictures and videos that show this wonderful, fantastical life that they're living, only normally the good parts. And then we look and try to see if we can measure up to that. And what if I'm not as good or as perfect, as accomplished, as smart, as well spoken, as well traveled, whatever those things are? What if I am not as good as the person who is on the left of me, the right of me, in front of me on social media, showing how fabulous their life is? Then what happens is we get caught up with measuring ourselves against others and forget the most important, measuring ourselves against ourselves. How am I doing in my life for me? How are you doing in your life? I'm back. I'm back. Sorry. I pushed the wrong button. See? You see what happens? I apologize for that. I'm back. You know, we constantly are comparing ourselves. And I just want to say that is one of the most unhealthy things that we can do. It's hard enough living up to whatever the objectives and goals are that we have for ourselves. But if we are attempting to live up to the goals and objectives that somebody else has for himself or herself, it's just, you cannot win. And so I am saying to us today, in this beginning of 2025, put down the measuring stick. Put it down. Decide instead that you will measure yourself against your own goals, your own dreams, your own values and beliefs, things that are important to you, not things that are important to others. I did something last year that I'm very proud of, so I want to share. I've talked about it before, but it's a good thing, so I'll say it again now. For a long time, I've struggled with, like, how in the world did I gain weight? I used to be skinny. I used to be the skinniest one. I was skinnier than most. I was a model for many years. I was very thin up until I had my daughter, the delight of my life. But she's 21. And so ever since she was born, I've kind of struggled. And I would go back and forth and not with much success. Well, last year, 2024, I started working with the therapist. One of the best things, I recommend it highly to anybody. If you're just trying to get yourself tweaked, get on course, and you might need a little help. And one of the things that she said to me is, hey, you're going to have to change something. We were talking about a variety of things. And she said, you are going to have to change something. And you have to decide what it's going to be. I hope you all hear that. You're going to have to change something. I'm guessing this is not a message just for me. And I decided, well, the one thing that I have control over is my health. I'm not always paying as close of attention to it as I should because I am working. I am guilty of working all the time. I'm guilty of working instead of sleeping, of working instead of taking the weekend off, of working. And sometimes that means guilty of working rather than working out, or working rather than, whatever it might be. There's a list. And I decided that I was going to put health first in a different kind of a way. And I have done that. And depending upon the day, I'm down between 20 and 25 pounds, which I'm very proud of myself for that. That is a significant accomplishment. And I did not take any drugs, although for those people who take meds in order to do it, good for them. I don't have any judgment of it, but I did not do that. I made up my mind and changed the way that I eat, move more, can still move more than that. But, I decided that I could change that. And I changed my relationship to my health, and my health has improved. And so I'm saying this to you because it was me deciding what I could do for me. It wasn't me measuring myself to a friend, to a social media person, to a colleague, to someone whom I admire. It wasn't doing that. It wasn't me longing for something that somebody else has and not having it, and therefore, well, if I only do this, then this will happen. It wasn't that. It was me loving me. It was me honoring me and carving out the time and commitment to make a difference. And it is working. Because it is working for me, I can assure you it can work for you. Life throws us all kinds of challenges. And how do we deal with them? But I have discovered, if you're focused on yourself and what you can do for you, for your community, for your family, for your life, then it's easier to be successful because you're not comparing. For many years, I have offered empowerment workshops, motivational speaking. Before COVID, I was traveling all over the United States doing a lot of workshops, and we're beginning to do that again. But one of the things that I have invited audiences to do, so I'm going to invite you to do this now too, is when you go home this evening, or if you're at home now, when you finish with this broadcast, stand in front of the biggest mirror you have. If you have a full-length mirror, choose that. Stand in front of that mirror and take your clothes off all the way down to your skin. Do it when you're alone. It's just you and yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself face front first and tell yourself, I love you just the way you are. Look at yourself head to toe slowly so you see yourself. I love you just the way you are. So if you have a round belly, love your belly. If you have full thighs, love your thighs. If they aren't, love them too. Turn slowly so that you get to see your whole being. Slowly look at your side. If you have the ability to see behind you, which you do because you can take your phone and turn it into a camera and see your back, look at your backside. I love you just the way you are, head to toe, front to back. Let me tell you something. This is not easy to do. Most of us feel a lot better with our clothes on than with our clothes off. Do it. I promise you, it is an incredible experience. I love you just the way you are. When you are able to offer love to yourself exactly as you are right now, an amazing thing happens. You give yourself permission to be kind and to make a change. While I love you as you are, I see there's some things I can do to support you, to make your life better, to make your life fuller, to make your life whole. Isn't that nice? That if you treat yourself with loving kindness, then you actually create space for improvement. So you're not beating yourself up saying, if you only did this, you deserve my love. No, you're saying, I love you just the way you are. And I can love you into better health. I can love you into a better state of being, better state of mind, whatever it is. When you offer love to yourself, it's easier to treat yourself with love, to do things that are healing, that are supportive. And so I encourage you to do this. It is putting down the measuring stick of measuring yourself against others and treating yourself with love and kindness and respect and upliftment. Yes, there may be lots of improvements that you need to make one day at a time with love. So I was looking at, the Golden Globes just happened, and I've been watching a show that some of you all may have seen, some of the binge watching things that I enjoy called Landman. And I noticed that Demi Moore is on that series. And so I hadn't seen her in a long time. So I looked to see what is Demi doing and saw that she was present and won a Golden Globe. And when she was talking, she made an incredible quote that is what inspired me to use this focus, put down the measuring stick. And I want to share with you what she said. Demi said, in those moments when we don't think we're smart enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or successful enough or basically just not enough, I had a woman say to me, just know you will never be enough, but you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick. Right? Let me say that to you again. In those moments when we don't think we're smart enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or successful enough or basically just not enough, I had a woman say to me, just know you will never be enough, but you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick. Isn't that powerful? And what I particularly like about this is she has a list: smart enough, pretty, skinny, successful. You may have other things on your list. The list can be very long. But what is on your list? What is it that you're measuring yourself against as it relates to other people? Stop. Stop measuring yourself against other people and instead love yourself. I want to say, tell yourself that you are enough. My friend Elaine Welteroth wrote a book claiming that she's enough. And when she claimed it, her attitude changed everything and her life changed. What about you? Rather than focusing on when the pot gets fuller, when you have more, what about acknowledging the blessing of what you have now and being willing to work on you in the most loving, tender way in order to reach whatever goal you have? So, last year we began inviting people to come on and share their thoughts about the topic. So, I want to make sure if you would like to participate in this conversation today, you're welcome to go to my website, harrietcole.com/inspiration, and we'll bring you right on screen with me and we can talk about your thoughts about this topic. If you don't, it's fine to just listen in, but we are making that opportunity available for many of our broadcasts this year. So you just go to harrietcole.com/inspiration and you can jump in to the conversation with me now. But, you know, I found that when I was looking at my physical self in comparison to other people, didn't work. But also, and I don't know if this is true for you, but this is true for me. And I told you at the beginning of this broadcast about how I have uh, how I've changed over the years. And I was using the measuring stick of Harriet at 20, Harriet at 25, Harriet at 30, Harriet at 35, and going, well, you know, I used to be this. Well, used to be, that was in the past. And by the way, if I'm really honest, in those early years, I hated being skinny. I was the skinniest one. I didn't like that. I didn't feel comfortable in my skin. It only felt good on a runway because, boys didn't like skinny girls. And yeah, I was very self-conscious. And so what I realize now in reflecting, self-consciousness is something that continues. I feel self-conscious sometimes now. That exercise I told you to do, when you take all your clothes off and look at yourself in the mirror and nobody's there with you, you will feel self-conscious. And the challenge is love yourself anyway. Love your face, love your neck, love your shoulders, love your arms, love your breast, love your belly, love your leg, love your whole self, just as you are. Not easy to do. I'm here to tell you, really, really not easy to do. Got folks saying good morning to you too. Whatever time of day it is for those who are here live, and well, many people watch on demand. I met a woman yesterday at a beautiful celebration of life for a woman who lived an incredible life. She was Helen Williams, the mother of Vanessa Williams, and there was a beautiful send off for her. But a woman came over to me and said that she had wanted to meet me for a while. I'm like, oh, I think she said her name was Jennifer. I hope I have it right. And she said, because she's been watching my broadcast, Inspiration in particular. And she said she likes when I talk about my daughter and my mom. And she also gets inspiration from these broadcasts. And I was so pleased to hear that. And it is for all of us. It is for all of us to remember that we can inspire each other, that we all need to come back to center, back to center. Not easy to do. And what do I mean by back to center? So I've been practicing meditation for more than 30 years. And we learned that when you meditate and you focus on the light inside, on the connection on the inside of you that is your direct connection to the divine, that you connect to your power, that you connect to your brilliance, that you connect to that pure part of you that is in alignment with God. Well, it's easy to fall out of that connection because there's so many distractions. And we live in a culture that values a lot of external things. It values how we look, how we talk, how much money we have, pardon me, where we live, who our friends are. We live in a very judgmental culture. And so when everything surrounding us can seem like a judgment, how can we stay strong? How can we not judge ourselves and compare ourselves to others? And so Demi Moore says, in those moments, see, so it doesn't happen all the time, but in those moments when we don't think we're smart enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or successful enough or basically not enough. Let me go back. In those moments, that's what's important if we break this down. In those moments when you and I, when we don't think we're smart enough, it happens, or pretty enough. I mean, that is completely relative, or skinny enough, or successful enough, or basically just not enough. She had a woman say, just know you will never be enough, but you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick. Think about it. I was working with a woman, a brilliant woman, a scholar who had been working at a think tank for a number of years. She's European. I can't remember what country now. And she was telling me about her work. And as she was talking about it, there was something in her demeanor that was kind of diminished. And she wouldn't complete answers. I was asking her to explain things, and all of her answers were truncated. And I said, why is that? She says, well, my colleagues are all smarter than I am. Everybody is a PhD. Like we start at PhD. That's like the lowest level of education. Many of them have higher levels above one PhD. And there are assumptions that everyone has read particular materials, everyone has been exposed to particular information. And so the way we speak to each other is as if we all know everything. And she says, I don't know everything, but I have to act like I know everything. And that is really daunting and it makes me feel uncomfortable. And so when I was talking to her, first of all, I don't know any of the things she was talking about. And I was helping her to transition out of that world into another world where people aren't all PhDs and don't know everything. And you have to explain a little bit more. And she was so incredibly uncomfortable about talking because she did not feel that she was equal to the colleagues that she had just left. And so she felt she might get found out by others. And so we worked on boosting her self esteem. Now, I'm telling you this because if you met this woman, she is probably one of the smartest people I have ever met. And the work that she was doing was for the environment. It was so important to the world. She had spent decades diving as deeply as she could into the knowledge base in order to share with others to help make the world a better place. And yet, she didn't feel smart enough. Why am I telling you this? Because it doesn't matter your station in life. Somebody is going to be smarter than you. That's okay. Learn from that somebody. Somebody is going to be richer than you. Great. Good for them. Somebody is going to be in some way different from you that you value, rather than letting that dash your spirit. Let it either inspire you to step up and do better or move on. Don't think about them. Turn your gaze back to yourself. Think about what you can do for you. How can you make your life better? How can you enhance the lives of the people that you touch? How can you be the best that you can be? Because that is what makes the difference. And nothing else do you have control over anyway. So isn't it better to focus on what you do have control over? You cannot change by keeping that measuring stick in front of you. Put it down, measure against yourself with loving kindness, because again, we can be extremely judgmental of ourselves. That isn't the goal at all. The goal is to be kind. The goal is to be nurturing. The goal is to stand in front of that mirror. I love you just the way you are. And together, you and me looking at myself, we can improve our world with kindness, with focus, with attentiveness. We can be disciplined in areas where we weren't before. We can look through a softer gaze at ourselves and others, be less critical, be less judgmental. I hope you're hearing these things because they're very specific things. And what we often are is incredibly critical and judgmental of ourselves and others. When we are feeling less than, brittle, we don't have whatever it is that we think we need, that is when that finger starts pointing. And it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Something's wrong. It couldn't be my fault, somebody else's. And one of my most common sayings is when you find yourself pointing your finger at someone else, blaming someone else, wrestle that finger around. And trust me, it's not easy to do. Wrestle that finger around and point it at yourself and ask, what is my role in this? How am I responsible for what is happening in my life right now? What is my role? And how can I untangle this web that I have woven? What can I do to improve my life? If there is a measuring stick, it's the measuring stick of us looking at ourselves, but not who I was 25 years ago. What can I do today in the present moment to improve whatever needs to be improved, right? So that's important because, as I mentioned before, if we look in the past, well, if I only could do what I did before, it doesn't really work. Instead, look in the here and now. And with your goals in mind, what are those goals? What do you want for your life? Whatever those goals are, and you have them, you write them down, have your list. These are my goals. And then figure out what the steps are that will lead you to your goals. Whatever they are, write them down and then check them off on a daily basis. I did that thing I said I was going to do. And this is the result that I have because I fulfilled my commitment to myself. I said I was going to do this. I did it. And after a week, here's the result. After a month, here's the result. Checking it off every day. So the measuring stick, if there is one, is you now in this moment saying, okay, here's what I said I was going to do today. Here's what I promised myself I'm going to do today. I did it. Or I didn't do it. So tomorrow I have to do it. And you put it back on the list and you keep putting it on the list and you keep assessing, how did I do? Am I taking care of myself? Am I fulfilling my promise to myself? Every day, ask yourself, every day, put it on the list and see what happens. It works. I promise you it works. If you don't put it on the list, you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to do this, and then you forget for a month, probably nothing happened in that month. If you forget for a year, you'll be at the end of 2025 going, oh man, I said I was going to do that. Be the person who takes care of yourself now, today, each day. Put down the measuring stick of measuring yourself against others. Pick up the mantle of caring for yourself in a loving, focused, tender way. Can you do it? We can do it together. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, have a great day and make it count. Namaste.